thanks, Jim. My name's Peter Hogg. I lead talent acquisition for Middle East and Africa at Schneider Electric. And I've been in Dubai. I'm in Dubai right now. I've been working for Schneider in Dubai for about the last year, just over a year. I moved here with my family, my wife and 5 children, and they're all happily settled in school. But before that, I was leading the talent acquisition team for Schneider Electric in the UK. And that's where I developed a great relationship with Natasha and the guys from In-House Recruitment Network. And I've spoken to an audience like this in the past. It's great to be back. I guess one of the real challenges for me with making everything virtual is that I'm just starting to notice that I have a real problem with pens and water bottles. I don't seem to have any anymore. So I don't know how we're going to solve that, but at some point I'm going to need someone to send me some pens, please. Let's get straight into it. So today I'm going to talk about our new talent philosophy at Schneider Electric and the open talent market, which is a tool which helps us make the most of our talent philosophy and internal mobility here at Schneider Electric. So this is part of a journey that we've been on really since 2015. In 2015, we introduced a new well-being policy in the business with a lot of work that went into it, but really we defined that there was a clear connection between employee well-being and company performance. In 2018, we introduced our principles of flexibility and declared that flexibility at work is crucial to becoming a more agile and attractive company. We also, at the same time, launched our global family leave policy because the workplace should allow employees to effectively manage their work, life, and family needs. Just last year, we introduced something called New Ways of Working, which was all about creating an environment for people to be at their best so that they could choose how they wanted to organize and structure their work. A term we use at Schneider Electric a lot is free up your energy. That means shed the stuff that you don't absolutely need to do, find efficiencies, and be smart about how you work. And actually part of that has been the way we've redesigned a number of our offices, and we'll continue to do that over the coming years. And I'm sat in an office in Dubai, which has only just completed a refurb. And so we're all set up for new ways of working now. And then in 2020, the open talent market, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. And it really sits around this belief that ongoing personal development is key to employee engagement and company success. And so if you look across all of these things that we've done over the course of the last 5 years, it's been all about making the most of our people, getting the most out of our people, and creating the sort of environment that they want to stay in so that we can be a successful company. And so if you think of some of the talent challenges that we all face as in-house recruiters and as HR teams, think of diversity, think of attrition as a challenge you might face, or employee engagement or well-being or development, or even reward, some of the key talent topics. We've sought to address those by really trying to shift the framework that we plug our talent into here at Schneider Electric to try and move the needle on some of those really important measures. So one example of that then is our flexibility at work policy. I'm not going to go into all of them, but just one. In 2018, we wrote down and put into policy flexible working hours, telecommuting, activity-based working, which I guess comes out more in new ways of working that I mentioned, flexible holidays, part-time volunteering, dress code. And we're finding that our people have got a lot more energy, which is great. But we now move on to the open talent market, and there's a saying that people don't quit a job, they quit a manager. Well, maybe that's true, but Harvard Business Review recently did a study where they looked at employee voluntary attrition at Facebook. Throughout the study, they make it very clear that that management at Facebook is actually very, very strong, very positive. But the study found that the decision for employees to exit the business wasn't because of their managers, it was because of the work that they were doing. It found that they left Facebook when the work stopped being challenging, or they weren't using their strengths, or they didn't find it enjoyable anymore. Really, when people stopped growing their careers, the curve of career development started to tail off is when people started to leave Facebook. And so the recommendation from Harvard Business Review to Facebook was that if you want to keep your people, especially your best people, your high potentials or your stars, it's time to start paying more attention to how you design their work. And so this is where open talent market really comes in. So let's have a quick poll, and it says poll 2, but it's actually poll 1. And I want you to get engaged with us now. I think Jim or Martin's going to run a poll. Please, could you write on the poll what percentage of people you think leave organizations because they don't feel challenged or can't find the right internal move or promotion? Just tell us in the poll how many people, what percentage of people you think would move for that reason. So I'm going to hand it back over to Jim and Martin, and you can tell me.
As if my magic is just come along, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes. It tells you how many people have actually voted. It's very exciting. So 49, 68.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't see how many people are on the call. So.
Oh, well, you see, there's more than one, and it's not Jim's mum either, which is excellent news. I'm going to give it 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds, everybody. 3 and a bit, 2, 1. There we go. So that's revealed by a country wise. We've got 50 people voted, 52 people voted. So 37 of them, so 71%, said it was in that band of the 51 to 75%. That helps.
Okay. All right.
And the second one was 19%, which was the 26 to 50%.
Okay, so the majority in that sort of mid-range around the 50% mark. Okay, really interesting. Good. Well, we did a study of our own leavers, of course, at Schneider Electric, and we do exit interviews, and we write up a reason for leaving when people exit our business. And we found that actually 47% of people were leaving our business because they couldn't find the right internal opportunities. Now, this is a very complex measure. Okay, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's by no means an exact science. But certainly a very high proportion, maybe up to 50% of our people are leaving because they can't find the right opportunity. And so if you're thinking of what you might go after to start to address topics like attrition, for example, or development, really the open talent market started to make a lot of sense for us. So those of you who said around the 50% mark, you guys perhaps have got some of the same challenges that we have, and clearly maybe have walked this path already. So let's look at the talent philosophy that we build the open talent market on. Firstly, and some of this may sound obvious, but for us, it's been powerful to write it down and really weave it into our talent review processes here at Schneider. So a declaration then that everyone is talent, that all employees have got equal opportunity, and they can reach their fullest potential based on their performance, potential, and aspiration. And this is where we really invite our people to look themselves in the mirror, ask themselves, where do they want to be? What are they prepared to do to get there? The career development then is a joint ownership between the employee, the manager, and HR. So back to the Facebook example, the recommendations from Harvard Business Review was that the company needs to think more carefully about how they design people's work. We take a slightly different view here at Schneider Electric. We say that it really is a joint ownership. It's for the employee to drive with good support from their manager and HR, that there should be continuous feedback and coaching, and our managers are all trained on how to give that feedback and how to coach their staff, and that there should be regular development discussions in addition to the annual development review, which is a more formal meeting that happens every year. And these discussions obviously should cover possible career options, so role, timing, locations, for example, and then this sort of gap analysis between, where the target opportunity or target job role might be, where they are today, and so to really do the analysis of what the gap is and where to focus the development. So in summary then, all employees have got the equal opportunity, and to enable this, we have made sure that everyone's eligible to look at career moves within our organization at any time. That is to say that we have removed any notion of minimum tenure in role. We don't expect people to sit in their role for 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, as has previously been the case as part of our older policy. So in a bit more detail then, this philosophy that we're working to now is that we're providing a more transparent view of all of our opportunities. We're really making sure that every opportunity in the business is posted and that everyone has equal opportunity. And with the open talent market that I'll explain to you in a moment, there's a really transparent and intuitive tool, which is AI driven, which is going to help people have the best visibility of all opportunities in the business. To make sure that we have this fluid, this flow of talent driven by supply and demand, as I mentioned already, we take away the time in role policy, and we enable our employees to drive their career development. And to do that, we also say that manager approval is no longer required for anyone to apply to an internal opportunity. So previously at Schneider Electric, and actually in every other organization I've worked for an internal candidate to apply to an internal opportunity, they need to obtain the approval of their line manager. And for those, for us as recruiters, we know that this can be quite an anxious move for people in their role. And we've all had phone calls from people saying, look, do I have to speak to my manager, or can I speak to my manager later on in the process, because they just feel some anxiety around putting their head above the parapet. Now, as we say to our managers, really, they ought to have these ongoing discussions with their people so that there is no surprises when it comes to career mobility or aspiration. But to be very clear, there is no requirement for managers to approve any internal moves or even any internal applications. And for us, that's been really powerful. We also encourage our employees to explore opportunities as part of their development, and to enable, and what we've done is we've made sure in our system that there is a mandatory field that you can't get beyond if you don't give good quality feedback to candidates, internal candidates, whatever the outcome. So all of our candidates are getting much better quality feedback whenever they apply to something internal. And finally, and this is also we think quite innovative, is that we have allowed all of our employees, or allowed them to devote 10 to 15% of their time to get involved in projects outside of their current role. And that ought to enable them to spend additional time to contribute and learn. So that's the philosophy upon which the open talent market is built. So let's look at what open talent market is. Well, open talent market, or OTM as we call it, it's based on a platform which is provided to us by a vendor called Gloat. Maybe some of you have heard of them. And it's a disruptive technology that uses artificial intelligence to match the supply and demand of talent throughout our business. It really helps us address the balance between capacity and utilization, as well as providing lots of development opportunities for our people. So what does it do then? It allows our employees to act like owners, and that's one of our core values here at Schneider, and drive their own careers, really puts them in the driving seat. It guarantees the match of internal talent to new open opportunities, so that's full-time positions, but also short-term projects, and I'll explain what I mean by that a little bit later on, and also connects them with mentors. And these connections in the system are driven by AI. So an individual will create a profile in open talent market. They will go into some detail about what their experience is, what their skills are, what they're looking for, languages, locations, for example. And then the open talent market, or the AI in the open talent market, will match their profile to career opportunities as they arise in the system. Employees can also proactively search, but the AI will also be doing the matching in the background. And so it also supports our leaders in finding diverse talent faster. I'll give you an example. I recently created a project in the open talent market for my team. It's something we were working on where we needed some additional capacity in my team. And rather than bring in a contractor, for example, we use the open talent market. And so I created a project, and immediately when I click go on that project, I have a number of matched candidates through their profile and their preferences. Those candidates are immediately matched to me as the line manager, and I can then go ahead and make contact to those guys if I wish to. Over a slightly longer period of time, now we're talking a few days, people can also apply for the opportunity. So maybe they've seen my job as one of their matches, or they've proactively searched and they can apply to my opportunity. And within sort of 5 or 6 days, I had a good long list of candidates, and I shortlisted down to 5 who I wanted to speak to. Those 5 candidates were based, one was in Moscow, Russia, one was in India, one was in France, one was in the UAE, and one was in Lithuania, I think. And so if we talk about diversity, and by the way, from a number of different functions within our business, if we talk about diversity, I was presented with a really diverse slate of candidates from different functions that I could talk to about my opportunity. And in the end, actually, I ended up hiring someone from Russia, from finance and customer success as a background, who had really strong project management skills, really strong data skills, which is exactly what I was looking for, and frankly would not have found within my own team. So it goes to show just how diverse we can find candidates across the open talent market. It's also really fast, by the way. You create the vacancy or the project in open talent market, and people can apply very quickly through the system, but also there's these AI matches as well. Another thing the open talent market has in its favor is that it ensures enhanced user experience. We spoke about better transparency for all of the job roles in the organization. Think what a lack of transparency in career opportunities does for employee engagement. So anything we can do to help people have better access to, first of all, the jobs and opportunities that exist within the business, but also at sort of policy level, making it very clear to our leadership teams and managers that we expect all opportunities to be posted so that everyone has equal opportunity. And finally, I guess it's been helping us drive more efficiency in I mentioned labor utilization, so this balance between supply and demand. And with these projects, we've kind of created a gig economy within our organization. So let's look at these different elements of open talent market in a little bit more detail. First of all, there's the full-time positions that you'll find in open talent market. Now, this is something that we're all very familiar with. This is essentially the internal full-time permanent opportunities that exist on our internal job board or on our intranet. I'm sure you'll have the same. But now we pull those opportunities straight from our ATS into the open talent market. There we can customize them a little bit because we've got some more neat options to promote. Maybe we can add video, we can add some tags on those opportunities to enable the AI a little bit better. We can put photos in, we can put videos in, we can be very specific about the languages we want the AI to pick up, for example, and we post them internally. And so that, as I mentioned already, internal talent then will be matched to these opportunities, or they can proactively search. Now, it's interesting because with the open talent market being a relatively new tool, we need to be teaching the AI. And within the system, if you see jobs presented, you can give them a thumbs up, which will tell the AI you want to see more of the same, to serve up more of the same. If you give it a thumbs down, you're telling the AI that it's not really the type of opportunity you're looking for, and that you don't want to see opportunities like that in the future. So with time, with a really good quality profile, and in investing a bit of time and giving opportunities the thumbs up or the thumbs down, the system's going to learn to quite a high level of specificity exactly the kind of opportunities that you want to have served up to you. The second dimension within the open talent market is this piece around mentorships. So anyone going into OTM can create a profile, and in their profile they can say, yeah, they'd like to be a mentor. They think they've got something to offer others within the organization. And they can specify what it is they can bring to mentorship, maybe the skills or experience that they have. And again, these mentors will be matched in the system by AI to people looking for a mentorship, or they can be searched out. And we've had, just in the short time in my region, Middle East Africa, that we've been running the open talent market since April, we've had something like 500 mentorships already been struck, which is really exciting. So, and this gives our internal talent really great opportunities as well for growth and development, as they have this ready access to a kind of safe space outside of their maybe relationship with their line manager or their peers, where they can really get into some of the areas of development they want to focus on and get some very direct feedback. And then finally, and perhaps the most exciting element of open talent market, are these part-time projects that I've been speaking about. And I mentioned a part-time project which I'm running in my team right now, where we needed some additional capacity. So as a manager, I can go on, create the project in the system, The project ought to take up no more than 10 to 15% of someone's time. The person who takes the project won't get paid for it. They'll just get paid their typical salary. But these projects provide a really great opportunity for our internal talent to get exposure or experience that they're looking for to make the next step in their career. So I guess there are two kinds of people within the organization who might be interested in one of these part-time projects. The first person might be someone who is not fully utilized and wants to create great value for the company and wants to make sure that they're busy. A good example might be a recruiter during a hiring freeze. And I'm sure many of us went into reduced hiring or even hiring freeze during the lockdown period. I know that recruitment was significantly reduced in my region, and I had to find ways for my team to remain utilized. OTM was a great option for us. So that's the first kind of person. But actually, there aren't that many people in any organization that are underutilized. Companies typically are too smart to let that happen. So then there's a second kind of person. This is a person who wants to make an investment in their career. Maybe they are fully utilized, but within our policy, we're enabling them to carve out 10 to 15% of their time for their development. But also they may want to maybe find time in their own time. Stretch themselves a little bit further to make that career investment. And so if I share the example of the project which I've recently run in OTM, when I presented or when I advertised that project, I make it very clear what my project and my team, and perhaps me as a manager, has to offer someone who wanted to come to the team. So for example, come and apply for my project if you're interested in pursuing a career in talent acquisition or HR, or if you're interested in getting exposure to other countries or other zones within our organization, or if you're interested in getting exposure to senior leadership teams. And the project which I was running meant that they would have access to country presidents and heads of HR within over 60 countries within my region here in the Middle East and Africa. And so when you position a project like that, actually what this project offers could offer up a lot of the exposure that people are looking for to make the next jump in their career. And what we don't say is that, yeah, we can create the next opportunity for you in Schneider Electric. That can't happen. That'll only happen when the opportunities come available. But if we can offer you the skills and experience and exposure now that you need, so that when you have that interview, you're far better equipped to take the next career step, then that is really powerful for us. And it's been getting great feedback from candidates. So that's really OTM in a nutshell: full-time positions, mentorships, part-time projects. And the matching in the system is happening in a really smart way via artificial intelligence. So getting conscious of time, I know that I need to wrap up pretty soon. So just to sort of hammer home the benefits then of OTM to us in Schneider Electric, and it's I have to say it's new for us in my region. We got OTM on the 15th of April. It'd been piloted in other parts of our business, including the UK. And the plan was to deploy it globally, but that it was at some point in the future. When we all went into lockdown and we had to really find ways of managing this capacity and utilization, or giving people opportunities to do more development when they had more time on their hands, we very quickly almost deployed OTM globally overnight. And so I've had it in my team since the 15th of April. We expect to see attrition go down. We expect to see time to fill go down. That's certainly been my experience so far. One of the key rationales for buying the tool has been to make sure we're constantly upskilling and reskilling our business towards our digital future. We expect to see diverse talent within our business go up. We expect to see engagement within our organization go up. And also, we expect to be able to unlock loads of hours of productivity as we find people getting involved in these projects. And just some stats that I can show you now, relatively early on in the process. So some key successes we've seen so far. We've seen 50% of assignments in OTM are filled with people from outside of the host business unit, department, or country. And that's been my experience. I mentioned the lady from Russia who's currently supporting my team. So great opportunity for people to get involved in disciplines and functions and zones outside of their day job. That's really powerful for our organization. Secondly, we've found that anyone who's been taking up a project in Open Talent Market has learned an additional 2 skills or more than they had before they came to the business. Before they came to the project, and we manage that. We monitor that because they update their profiles once those projects are complete. So people are learning new skills and adding to their profiles, making themselves more employable, I guess, within our organization, which is really exciting. Again, think of what that means for our customers. You know, what value our employees can bring to our projects and our customers, and that for me has a real commercial impact. We've also unlocked over 60,000 hours of utility with people doing projects beyond their day job so far globally in the system, which for me is phenomenal. And with that, all of the goodwill and the networks and the additional skills and employability that people have learned along the way. And finally, we're seeing our time to fill go down. I've not got any headline stats on this yet, but we have filled jobs in as little as 12 days in Open Talent Market so far. So the signs are looking very positive indeed. So with that, I'll say thank you. That's the Open Talent Market.
Peter, thank you very much. That's, really, really interesting. And I know we had a brief chat before your talk, but listening to that, some great insights there into your Open Talent Marketplace. So we've got a number of questions, and I'm going to kick off the first question, Peter. This comes from Catherine. Sorry, Catherine, I don't know your last name. I've only got Catherine on here at the moment. So it says, hi, Catherine. Peter. How did you get buy-in from the business in terms of allowing employees to take 10% of their time for projects outside of their role?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the answer is twofold. We've got a forward-thinking leadership team. I think that helps. But if we get into our talent challenges that we spend a lot of time and have done over many years focusing on, challenges like attrition. Challenges we look at attrition particularly among our early careers. People who are younger, for example. We look at attrition among females as a key measure for us. We look at some of these key measures and we look at why these people are leaving. We recognize that some of these things could be addressed by Open Talent Market and by giving people more opportunities to develop their careers within the organization. We also know, if anyone who's looked at the expectations of Generation Z, for example, we know that people are expecting a more gig-orientated work journey, career journey, and we could offer that through Open Talent Market. So we kind of build this business case around engagement, around attrition, around the needs of our younger workforce, around the need as a business who focuses heavily on digital in everything that we do, a need to upskill our people from a digital perspective. We build a business case around those four pillars, and because they speak so clearly to our key objectives around people internally, actually it wasn't a really hard sell.
Very good. Fantastic question, Catherine. We have another one here from NJ Harris. It says, hi, Peter. Really great insight on the open marketplace. In the example you gave, it seems that hiring managers will have complete free rein to approach whoever they want in the business about a new role, effectively giving them the ability to headhunt across the total business.
Great question.
How have you managed this message internally?
Great question.
There's a little bit more to it, but we'll take that bit first.
Early days is the answer, right? So this is the big, I'm not going to call it contention, but this is what makes people feel uncomfortable about the Open Talent Market. And this is super important as we go through our change management phase, which we're currently in right now. This is new, right? April, it seems like only yesterday. We've had summer in between and we've been going through a crisis with COVID-19. And so we're still in the early stages of deploying Open Talent Market in Middle East Africa. And the one thing that managers always want to talk about is, look, I don't have any control over who leaves my team. Our advice to those managers is you really need to establish yourself as a talent magnet. It's incumbent on you as a leader at Schneider Electric to create an environment that people want to be in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you really need to know your people. You need to know what their expectations are career-wise, what their aspirations are. You ought to have a sense for what their flight risk potential could be, for example. These are all things we expect our managers to have a grasp on. And so there ought to be no surprises. when people want to move on. And then let's talk about this piece of headhunting. So at the moment, managers, they can search out talent from within the organization, yes. They'll have talent matched to them, and they can reach out to that talent. So if a candidate is matched to a job role, for example, the candidate won't know they've been matched until a hiring manager reaches out to them. So that is a possibility. But here's something which we're going to start doing next year, a new functionality in the tool which we haven't created yet, and that is that recruiters, internal recruiters within our organization currently can't search the database outside the context of a job role. We're going to give our recruiters that opportunity, and so we will be able to essentially headhunt our own people from within the organization, a bit like we would on LinkedIn. And I talk about this talent philosophy because it has to be what we believe about talent at Schneider. Philosophically, we put the development of our people, the engagement of our people, I guess development and engagement above all, because we don't want to invest in talent only for them to leave. So we're putting our recruiters no longer at a disadvantage with external headhunters who might come in and try and headhunt our people, which I think is really exciting. How do we sell that back to the business? Well, as I just mentioned, it's a work in progress. But as with anything, it comes down from the top, and we need to explain and help the business understand that if people aren't engaged, they're going to leave anyway. So we need to create pathways and opportunities for people within the organization. So, all right, if they leave the team, that's one thing. But actually, if they don't leave the organization and take all that learning with them, then that's good ultimately for the business.
Definitely. And I think that's answered the other part of the question there, is how you support and guide the individual there. And I think you've gone through that guiding and support. Yeah, really good question. We have another question from Paul Henthorne here. This is a really interesting initiative, and I second that. I think it's very interesting, and everything you've just said there as well about searching your database. And it's good to see innovation in organizations looking at their internal talent pool. What snags, hurdles did you hit along the way? And what were your biggest learnings if you were to do it again?
Oh man, that's such a tough question. Biggest snags and learnings. What were the biggest snags and learnings? I think getting the philosophy right, that took some time, and getting the policies behind that right took some time. Simple things like saying we're taking out time in role. It's so easy to say, isn't it? And to some people, it will sound so obvious, but that wasn't easy to achieve, right? And still is probably the biggest hurdle right now, with people feeling anxious about the tool, and in some cases feel uncomfortable promoting it. So that's something we're working through right now. So I guess that was the biggest hurdle, really. At the moment, we're just we're in the implementation phase and the training phase, and we're finding that there's good momentum behind Open Talent Market, but also, you go and promote it to the business. You tell them to create their profiles, because their profiles aren't created by default. They physically have to go in and do that. And you tell them there's going to be a world of opportunity in there, but actually it's an empty box until people start filling it. We're in a hiring freeze, so hiring freeze by name, I guess. We are still hiring, but internal opportunities are fewer than normal. We need managers. If managers don't understand the tool and proactively go and create projects in the system, there aren't going to be any. So we're having to find this balance, strike this balance between having opportunity in the tool, but also promoting the tool so that people go and create their profiles. I think if I was to go back in time, as I think about it now, I might have found a way to load it up so that when people went into the box, they didn't find it empty. Now the box is filling up with opportunities as every day passes, but I think we could have been a bit more proactive about that.
Brilliant. Still some time, people, for more questions and to go through things. I'm sure Martin has some more questions as well. But on the policy side, Peter, as well, I mean, to get complete buy-in overall from this, you got to get people's buy-in, and then what are policies to go through? I mean, that just must be immense.
Yeah. The good news here, and maybe something we're quite good at Schneider Electric, maybe all companies are, but it was signed off on, and to an extent designed by our most senior leadership team, right? It speaks to our philosophy as an organization around our 3 E's of development: education, experience, and exposure. That's the kind of backbone of our development framework here at Schneider Electric. We call it the 3 E's. And this tool kind of speaks to that. And we just looked at how we can remove the roadblocks that slow this thing down. And so things like time in role and approval were the 2 biggies that we could take out. And when we think about our talent challenges, I've mentioned them already, you know, attrition and trying to create more diversity and having more engagement and having people feel weller or better at work, we decided that the upside well outweighed the downside.
Definitely.
Now, I guess that the final part of our answer is that's how it went down in the boardroom, as we roll it out into regional teams, particularly in some parts. I'm speaking from Middle East Africa now, perhaps particularly in some less mature parts of my region. Yeah, we're coming up against some resistance actually, but I can honestly tell you, I'm actually really enjoying working with the leadership teams in the regions to overcome this resistance, because the story is positive. There is, for me, there is no downside to open talent market. It's just around the perception. So for me, it's really exciting to get deep in with the business, understand their concerns, help them work through their concerns, so that ultimately they've got a far more forward-thinking approach to talent. It's actually a little painful, but it's been a great catalyst for our business to kind of shift the argument a little bit, shift the debate.
Definitely. Perfect. Thank you, Peter. That's excellent. Martin, have you any questions for Peter at all? And please, people, anyone watching and listening still, please fire your questions through in the Q&A chat on the side here at the bottom.
No, I said I'd scribbled some notes as we've gone along. I guess we've all been in that position. You've answered loads of questions about policy versus process. One of the things I've been involved in the past is around AI. People picked up on that element of this, because clearly matching is matching, and there's always some doubt about AI being overly controlling, too much bias, etc. How have you dealt with that internally?
Well, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that question, but you know, when I do training sessions on OTM, people often say, but the system's it's serving up utter nonsense. It's not making useful matches. And my answer to that question is, look, there's two levers we can pull here to try and enable the AI to work effectively. First is the quality of a profile. Now, you can create a profile on OTM in 2 minutes, because actually there's a functionality to pull a profile straight in from LinkedIn. If you want to be a bit more detail orientated about it, you could either create it from scratch or spend a lot more time on the detail, putting in, you know, keywords around skills and experiences, for example. That's going to help the AI, and then we're going to teach it over time. I guess it remains to be seen if people are being excluded from anything in particular. I think they have quite a high level of control, because it's run off the back of, again, your profile, which you can edit or change at any time, or the preferences that you tell it when you give opportunities, the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I guess the other part of that answer is that, yeah, right, while the AI is matching, people can anytime just run a typical search like you would in any job board, for example, and search the database without the AI.
Sure. I've got no more questions. That was anyone who scribbled down.
I was going to say we've gone through the buy-in, Peter, and people listening here are obviously interested. If people are going to start this journey, and then, you know, you talked from the boardroom and it started there, are there any hints and tips? This is one big thing you'd say if they're going to start the journey, where they start?
Yeah, so understand the value, the commercial value of lack of diversity, high attrition, for example. Particularly high attrition is easy to quantify. You know, the cost of recruitment is part of that, right? For those of us who understand the cost of recruitment in our organizations, it's always the starting point for a business case for me. Understand what the company's key drivers are. So for us, it's, you know, we're very focused on developing our early career programs within our organization, hiring lots of people at an early stage in their career and developing them, but then keeping them. That's super key, and that's somewhere we struggle. And around making sure that, you know, the reasons some of our diverse categories leave the organization, for example, opportunities to progress their career, that's a key indicator for us. focus on what those key indicators are. And if the tool you're trying to implement, for example, in our case, OTM, speak to those drivers, then you're far more likely to be successful. I think on the philosophy piece, look, I think back over the last 5 years of my time, 6 years of my time at Schneider, and this topic around approval to apply. I remember sitting around a HRC table for what feels like hours talking about language in policy. Are we going to talk about hiring manager has to approve? Hiring manager has to be informed. Hiring manager is aware. You know, all these adjectives or words that we were using to describe the relationship or the role that a line manager might play in this talent discussion or job career mobility discussion. We just found ourselves going round and round and round in circles. What we needed to do was hit it head on and say, you know, what do we fundamentally believe? What are we trying to achieve? And when we boiled it down, we found actually that policy had very limited value, if any value at all. And that we needed to remove it so that we could have a real impact on some of the key drivers that I've already mentioned, you know, attrition, diversity, early career, for example.